types of testing. So some of the topics we'll be taking tonight will be types of testing, what is white box testing, what is black box testing, what is alpha testing, what is beta testing, amongst others. So first we are starting with dynamic and static testing. So static testing techniques, and under static testing, we have review, we have walkthrough, we have inspections, and under dynamic testing, we have unit testing, we have integration testing, and we also have system testing. So I'm going to start with review. So I believe we all know what static testing is documentation that consists of your requirement that you must have gathered from the stakeholders. And I did talk about this, I think, in the SDLC when we went through the SDLC and the STLC. So with review, you have to read the entire document to conduct the document to ensure the correctness and the completeness, so that whatever the content that is specified is clear and concise in the document and should be correct. So basically for review, I did say last time with static testing, I think that was when one of you asked the question that when I think it was the view model where you have was it accessibility testing? And I told you basically you just do a walkthrough. So this is exactly what it is. So with static testing, it has nothing to do with the software. So it's basically with the your documentation, your requirements, your documents that you've gathered from the stakeholders. So with review, you review is kind of formal technique. So it's between team members and the stakeholders. So this is a formal type of technique for reviewing your documents. And then we also have the walkthrough. So for the walkthrough, this is informal in the sense that someone from the team can either it's not pre-planned. So say for instance you are in a team and then somebody does not have a clear understanding of the documentation that you're working on. So you could have one of your team member pulled over and say, can you walk me through this? So basically it's just it could be between 2 or 3 team members. So where you kind of explain it this kind of technique is called informal review, and it's not planned, and it can be conducted at any time. And then we also have the inspections. So this one is more of a formal review. So this is more of pre-planned technique. So what happened is in this instance, you could have sent out an invite to the team members to schedule or conduct an inspection techniques, which involved more team members, including the stakeholders. And with this one, you do have three people that are mainly in charge, which is one is the reader, two is the writer, and three is the moderator. So the reader is kind of the person that reads the documents out, and then the writer is kind of the person that takes down, take notes, and then later on goes through everything that has been said, and then compare it with what has been written down. And then you have the moderator, which kind of is the one moderating the meeting, facilitating the meeting, and maybe the time spent, the time that will be spent, all the people that will be involved, and all that. So this is basically what static testing is. So it's more of a documentation testing tech. It's more of a documentation testing technique, and it can be done most time before the software is ready. Most cases before the software is ready, and then which brings us to dynamic testing. So with dynamic testing, it means that we are actually testing the software. The software is ready for testing, which brings us to unit testing. Because by the time dynamic testing comes in, it means that the software is ready. So during the unit testing, the developers will concentrate on testing the code with whatever they've written down and all that. And then for the integration testing, they will for the integration testing techniques, it's they will integrate multiple modules, and they will check the data flow between the components. They will check the data flow in the software, and then they will check between the components of if those components are properly communicating or not. That's the essence of integration testing in dynamic testing. And then in for the last one, that is system testing, testers will perform system testing to validate a requirement or not. And if the functions are working or not, if the performance is good, or have end-to-end and all that. As we dive more into it, we'll talk more about system testing and all. So, and this is mostly done by the testers for the system testing. And so yeah, we'll move to the next. So I have here, it says, what is white box testing? White box testing, also known as the clear box testing, glass box testing, or structural testing, is a software testing technique that examines the internal structure, code, and logic of a software application. In white box testing, the tester has knowledge of the internal workings of the software, including its source code, algorithms, and data structure. So this knowledge allows testers to design test cases based on the understanding of how the software is implemented. And for white box testing, it's complementary to black box testing, which is another software testing technique that focuses on testing the functionality of the software. So for white box testing, we have to test the internal logic of the program. So normally what developers team will do is the developer will write their programs to develop the software and to test the code directly, which basically comes under white box testing. So this also simply means that this is internal and is mostly done by the developers. So for white box testing, is the developers that do work on it. So, and as we go further, I'll talk about the elements. So for the elements of white box testing, understanding of internal structure, sorry for the typo error there, code coverage, techniques, debugging, automation, and unit testing. So these are some of the elements of white box testing. So for understanding of internal structure, testers have access to the source code, and they use this knowledge to design their test case and execute specific branches and conditions within the codes. And for code coverage, which this will be elaborated more on test management, I think in the next class, not for tonight, but I'll just take it briefly. For code coverage, it aims to achieve high code coverage by ensuring that all statements and branches, conditions, and part in codes are executed during testing. And for the techniques, we have different types of techniques, such as the control flow and the part testing, which are amongst others that are being used to validate the correctness of software internally. And we also have the debugging. So that's in automation for the debugging. And then you also have automation as well. So for debugging is when you are executing your test and maybe it's not passing properly, or you want to see how it's passing, or well, we'll get into that by the time we get to the practical aspect of it. You guys will understand what debugging is. And then you have the automation part, and then you have the unit testing as well. And then for what is black box testing? Black box testing is a software testing technique that examines the functionality of a software application without knowledge of its internal structure, code, or implementation details. In black box testing, the tester interacts with the software as an external user would, focusing solely on the inputs, outputs, and behavior of the system under test. So basically, black box means we can test its functionality of the application or the functionality of the software, whether it is working according to the customer requirement. So in black box testing, we don't really need to know the program, because this is more of for testers, unlike the white box testing. And then we just have to know how the functionality is working and as expected for the end user, how the user interface is, and what we focus on during black box testing is just testing. That's we testers, we do the testing, unlike white box testing that is for the developers. So we also have the elements of black box testing, which is internal perspective and focus on requirements and specification. We also have the test design based on input and output. We have the functional testing. We have the test coverage. We have the regression testing and the user-centric approach. So types of black box testing is also functional testing and the user interface and ad hoc testing. So we'll talk more on this as we go. And we have alpha testing. So the definition of alpha testing is the initial phase of a software testing performed by the dev team internally, usually before the software is handed over to external testers or users. And the objective, the primary goal of alpha testing is to identify bugs, defects, and usability issues within the software. It aims to ensure that the software meets specified requirements and function as intended. Then you have the participants. Alpha testing is typically conducted by the developers themselves or a dedicated team within the organization. Then you also have the scope. It focuses on testing individual modules, components, or features of the software, as well as overall system integration. Then you have the feedback. So for the feedback, you gathered information during alpha testing. Is the gathered information you have gathered during the alpha testing is used to improve the software before. I'm just going to move my, this system is blocking, before it progresses to the next phase of testing. So after testing, testing is it's a type of software carried out by the developer team within an organization, usually by the software. But the software is made available to, by the time the software is made available to external users. And it's also an essential phase in the software development lifecycle, and typically occurs after the completion of initial dev process. And the dev team addresses and identify issues, and also the dev team make necessary adjustments, and they iterate on the software to enhance its quality and performance. The alpha testing is mostly conducted in a controlled environment, like production environment and all. And this process also allows the testers to simulate in a real-world usage scenarios. So testers can then use it like they are in the customer's perspective, standing as if they are the users. And this is used to assess the software performance and the behavior in different situations. And also in alpha testing, documentation is also key. So as this also serves as a valuable reference for the dev. So this documentation helps them to prioritize and address any identified issues effectively. And it helps minimize risks of potential issues affecting end users by identifying and addressing issues early in the development process. And I think alpha testing also contributes to delivering a more robust and user-friendly products. Ugochi, I don't know why your hand is up. Do you want to unmute and quickly speak?
Yeah, sorry, Rita. I've been trying to type things. I've been chatting, but you're not really seeing them. I was actually saying to slow down then, but it's fine
I'm
now.
fast today. Okay.
Not now, but previously, the way you were moving the slides was very fast.
Okay. You have the recording, so because you guys will be doing the test case as well, so I just have to try and meet up. All right, that's fine. I'll try and slow down. Thank you. So we also have beta testing. The definition of beta testing is the second phase of a software testing conducted by a selected group of external users or customers before the software is released to the general public. And the objective is, the main goal of beta testing is to gather feedback from the end users regarding the usability, performance, reliability, and overall user experience of the software. And for the participants, we have beta testers are volunteers or individuals who represent the target audience for the software. They may also use software in their typical environments and provide feedback based on their experience. So for the scope, we also have beta testing aims to cover any remaining issues or potentials and problems that were not detected during alpha testing. So it helps validate the software functionality and assess its readiness for release. Then the feedback will be feedbacks that are collected from the beta tester is valuable for making final adjustments and refinements and improvements to the software before it's officially launched to the public. So this phase of software testing conducted by a selected group of external users or customers before the software is released to the public is aimed to also gather feedback after the phase of alpha testing is done. After alpha testing is done. So alpha is done before beta testing. So unlike alpha testing is conducted internally, right? This is conducted externally. So those are the two things to be aware of. Alpha testing is internal, while beta testing is external. And it also takes place in the real world, and user interact with the software in their everyday context and all. So the feedback is being provided through various channels, like an example would be online or surveys or bug reports or forums. It all depends. Or sometimes it can also be through defect communication with the dev team. And so as we can see, the feedback is also valuable so for prioritization and bug fixes and making enhancements and refining the software before it can be released to end user. So for the iteration process as well, beta testing often involves multiple rounds of testing, and based on the iteration, based on the feedback received from testers. So developers addressed reported issues, and they also make improvement and release updated versions of the software for further testing. So it has to go on until it reaches a satisfactory level of a quality and readiness for release. So here we also have types of testing. So I just listed all these types of testing, so which we have had most of them. We have unit testing, we have integration testing, we have system testing, acceptance testing, regression testing, performance testing, security testing, usability testing, static testing, and exploratory testing. So it depends on the phase on which you are on a project. That is when each testing is required. As a tester, you go through all this phase, and sometimes it depends on how big the organization is. It can be splitted among other testers. So you might not be the only one working on all this, performing all this testing at a go. So, which brings us to non-functional testing. So for non-functional testing, evaluates the aspects of a software application that are not related to its specific functionality, but rather focus on its performance, usability, reliability, and other quality attributes. So non-functional testing is assesses various quality attributes of a software and applications beyond its basic functionality. It helps to ensure that the software reaches the performance and the usability and the reliability and the security and the compatibility requirements. So that's the essence of non-functional testing, which under that we also have different types of testing. I think they should be there. So under non-functional testing, we have performance testing. So this kind of testing is not common because is more of an advanced testing, because under performance testing, we have load testing, we have security testing and all that. And then we also have the usability testing. And we also have security testing. We have compatibility testing. We have scalability testing. And we also have functional testing. So functional testing is a software testing technique that evaluates the functionality of a software application by verifying that it performs according to its specified requirement. And it focuses on testing the features, functionalities, inputs, as well as the output and the interaction of the software to ensure that it behaves as expected. So it encompasses various test scenarios as well, and functionalities within the software application. And functional testing ensure that each feature performs as intended and meets the specified requirements. So as for functional testing. And so we have types of functional testing, which is unit testing, integration testing, we have system testing, we have acceptance testing, we have smoke testing, and regression testing, user acceptance testing, and then exploratory testing. So I'm just going to take a few of them. So for unit testing is I think I did have one. Yeah, it's a software testing technique that involves testing individual units or components of a software application in isolation. A unit can be a function, method, procedure, module, or class, depending on the programming language and design of the software. The purpose of unit testing is to validate that each unit of code behaves as expected and meets the specified requirement. In summary, software it's been put in isolation, like they practice an isolation technique. So by validating the behavior of each unit through automated testing, so developers can build reliable and maintainable and high quality software with unit testing, which is mostly done by the developers. And we have integration testing. Is a software testing technique that focuses on verifying the interaction and interfaces between different components or modules of a software application when integrated together. It aims to ensure that the individual units or modules work together as expected, and that the integrated system functions correctly as a whole. Integration testing is a critical phase in the software testing process. that verifies the interaction and integration of components within a software system. And by also testing how individual units work together as a whole, and integration testing, I think it ensures the reliability and the functionality and the overall performance of what's it called? Integrated software application. So what is system testing? System testing is a comprehensive software testing techniques that evaluates the behavior and functionality of a complete and integrated software system. It focuses on testing the entire system as a whole to ensure that it meets specified requirements, functions correctly, and performs as expected in a real world environment. So for sorry. So particularly, system testing is a comprehensive software testing technique that evaluates the behavior and functionality of a complete and integrated software system. It focuses on testing the entire system as a whole to ensure that it meets specified requirements, functions correctly, and performs as expected in a real-world environment. So it's a critical phase of system testing. Is more critical because you do a whole lot of testing when it comes to system testing. And the overall function, behavior, and the performance of the software system is being tested when it comes to system testing. And by testing the system as a whole, system testing ensure that the software must meet their needs and functions and delivers value to stakeholders. I think so. We also have what is smoke testing. So I just added this to it. Among all the other, I didn't really do all of them. So you can do a research on some of the ones that were not done. I think regression testing and the rest. Smoke testing, also known as build verification testing or confidence testing, is a preliminary software testing technique performed on newly built or updated software build. And the main objective of smoke testing is to determine whether the critical functionalities of the application works correctly and the build is stable enough for further more comprehensive testing. Okay. So I think for the smoke testing, this kind of testing is a bit of a lightweight and is a preliminary testing techniques. Mostly is performed early in the software testing process, and it helps to validate critical functionalities and assess the overall of a newly built or updated software build. And one of these primary goal of smoke testing is to quickly, it's mostly used to quickly identify major defects and provide confidence and the readiness of the build for further testing or deployment. And some of the testing done in smoke testing, or some of the things is the when you do your automation, when you execute, and when you are doing your smoke testing, you also look out for the scope and early detection of major defects. You also look out for minimal test coverage, and you also look out for yeah, basically you look out for defects as well. And yeah, so these are some of the things. And I think that brings us to the last. I didn't touch on others, but some of them are exploratory testing, regression testing. I think most of us know what regression testing are and exploratory testing. I can just touch on it quickly. So exploratory testing is a software testing approach, which is where testers kind of simultaneously design and execute test case based on your knowledge, and you kind of use your instincts, intuition, and experience, as the case may be, with a predefined script, a minimum predefined script, or a test plan. And yeah, that's for exploratory testing. And under exploratory testing, we have the ad hoc testing, which is kind of the same. Is ad hoc testing kind of allow testers to freely explore. So this is when you just go to a software and just do exploratory testing or ad hoc testing without a test script and or your test plan. So you kind of use your creativity or your expertise here, or as the case may be, your initiative to kind of uncover any defects or issues. So that's for exploratory testing. And yeah, for regression testing is after you've raised the bug and the bugs have been fixed. So sometimes you kind of you do a regression testing to see if that is, or what you've tested before that have passed. You kind of do a test on it to see if the code has changed, or if the bug that has been fixed have affected any existing code in the system. And then the UAT is also there, and the user acceptance testing, and that's it. So I think I did try not, I didn't want to take much of our time. I didn't, yeah. Well, yeah, you can stop the recording.